There must be something in the water. Hey, welcome to another devotion. I know what you're thinking, you were sick of my face, but guess what? Life isn't pretty, so you're gonna see my face for a long time. Also, big shout out to Harmony. She has really pretty hair this morning. Yes, she got it cut, her sister cut her hair. Has nothing to do with today's devotion, just thought you'd like to know. Today's thought, as we continue along the bigger picture of I am not alone, comes from the OT, the Old Testament. And in the book of Psalms, right like kind of in the middle of the book of Psalms, there is a couple of chapters in the book of Psalms called the Songs of Ascent. What that was simply just hymns sung by the Israelites as they made their way up to worship God every year. Right smack bang in the second chapter of the Songs of Ascent. I want to say it's Psalms 121, but I'm not going to say it because I ain't game enough to be wrong. But in the very first chapter of the Songs of Ascent, it is a chapter full of... I'm gonna look it up. Yes, I was right. Woo! Yes. Because the very first chapter, they're just complaining, and it's getting hard for them, and they crying out their sorrows to God, kind of. And then Psalms 121, the second chapter of this Songs of Ascent, kind of starts off like this: For I look to the heavens, where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. And straight after that verse is just a bunch of praises, songs of praise, of thanking God, of even though that like not much of their situation has changed, they're still going up the mountain, they're still going through their own problems and their own struggles. They decide to switch from their song of just complacency and crying out to God to them singing, I look to the heavens, where does my help come from? It comes from God. And it just changes their whole viewpoint. My thought today is simply this, that you would do exactly what the Israelites did in the Songs of Ascent. That even though their situation didn't change, even though their problems they were still facing, and they were still climbing up this mountain, and they were still going through personal things, they simply adjusted their viewpoint of life. It no longer went on their problems and everything that is making them suffer, but the moment they turned their eyes to heaven, that their attitude, their language started to change. And went from complaining and crying out to God to giving God thanks and praise and singing of His goodness, even though the situation hasn't really changed.